We can make them understand what it means to assume that the poor can just eat cereal for dinner while they don't pay their employees, they don't pay fair wages, they don't pay the farmers they buy their products from, and they keep making record profits. Then we stand together, we fight like hell, and we'll move on to another company in 2 months. Let's go. All right, everybody, it's time for another Spend This, Not That. I hear that it's boycott season. I've been making a lot of videos lately about food companies that are either screaming, let them eat cake from the mountaintops, or have been selling you food filled with toxins created by literally cigarette companies. And so we're going to talk about what we're not going to buy. And we're all going to hold the line together, and we will come out of this unscathed on the other side. Let's go. Pringles is owned by Kellogg's. So once you pop, you can just drop it. Instead, let's talk about some good options. For instance, Hers or Utz. Utz Chips is a family-owned brand. Hers is a family-owned brand, so they're in. So is Xochitl. Oreo and the entire Keebler lineup was formulated by Big Tobacco. Out. Special K bars by Kellogg's. Out. Oh, look, everybody, it must be dinner time. Are you hungry? Kellogg's cereals. Out. 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 But we love small business operated granolas. When in doubt on cereal, buy Nature's Path. My kids, for instance, love Nature's Path Panda Puffs. For all you vegetarians and vegans out there, I'm sorry to say Bare Naked, Morningside, and Kashi are all owned by Kellogg's. They're out. But you could replace it, for instance, with Members Mark Honey Almond granola for Kashi. And you could replace it with some of the smaller brands of tofu companies and substitute meat companies like Beyond. The formula for club crackers was created by Philip Morris during the late 80s and early 90s, designed with a specific formulation of chemicals to make it more addictive so you can't stop eating them. So Club is out. Toasted crackers are owned by Kellogg's, and we're not eating cereal for dinner, so Kellogg's is out. Formulated by Big Tobacco during the late 80s and early 90s to make sure that they're addictive, filled with chemicals, ultra-processed with no fiber, out. Crunchmaster, small family-owned brand, in. If you've ever watched my shopping small video on coffee, then you know that Green Mountain Coffee is an absolute no line in the sand for us, okay? Green Mountain is owned by a private equity fund that was started by a family that built all of their generational wealth on concentration camp labor during the Holocaust. And then, to make amends for it when it finally became public and they were trying to act like it wasn't a thing, donated a whopping $10 million to charity, saying that should totally clear it up. You know, after they built, then that was like 0.0003% of their total wealth. So we don't do Green Mountain. On the other hand, we love Newman's Own that donates 100% of their profits to serve children in communities all across America. McCafe and Dunkin' are both trying to put their franchisees out of business. Dunkin' is certainly owned by Roark Capital, which is one of the largest private equity funds in the world. Out. Here's an item I take a very particular offense with. Not only are they undermining the cost of their franchisees in their local areas by having chili for sale that directly competes with a franchise that is 1 block away, but they're also just a flat boycott because their surge pricing may be getting pulled back in their language right now, but they're not pulling back on the AI model that's going to come in and replace all of their employees' jobs. And just because they're saying they're not doing surge pricing right now doesn't mean that AI model isn't built to test how much we will spend. Absolutely no. No Wendy's. Cheez-Its and Pop-Tarts, both Kellogg's. Out. So is Pringles. All gone. Not even in the giant box. We still love non-GMO Stacy's pita chips though. Totally in. Naturally Imperfect Ugly Sweets. These are sweet potato chips. Totally in. Famous Amos, owned by Kellogg's. They're out. But we love Made Good. They're totally in. Specially formulated to be addictive during the early 90s. We cannot. I'm sorry. Big Tobacco created it, and I'm not eating it. Oscar Mayer is formulated by Big Tobacco to be addictive with extra chemicals and additives. Out. Now let's talk about how I broke my kids' hearts. Their friends constantly have Lunchables at school, and I make them bento boxes and try to make them wholesome lunches. They want Lunchables as an occasional treat. But studies have shown very clearly that this was a creation of Philip Morris during the late 80s to get children to be addicted to more food. They couldn't stop eating these. they would buy more and more and more of them. Kids would fight to have them. Now, multiple studies have been shown since then when they created this perfect storm of sugar, fat, salt that doesn't exist in nature in their ultra-processed foods to create additivity, that when a child learns to have a strong bliss response that creates addictive tendencies as a child, they're more likely to be addicted to other things as an adult, like gambling, smoking, cigarettes, caffeine, even drugs. So these are 100% out. They'll never be in my house again. Kunstler, on the other hand, is an American-owned brand of bacon, and it's American-owned, operated, distributed, and so they're in. I'm not saying this is going to be easy. A lot of us have habits. We have things that our kids like. We don't want to have to experiment because we don't have the resources to make the bad decision. I understand that, and I know that if you can't afford to boycott, you eat what you can get. Fed is best. Fed is best, okay? It doesn't just go for breastfeeding. Your children need to eat. But if you have the ability to make different choices, and we can make them understand what it means to assume that the poor can just eat cereal for dinner while they don't pay their employees, they don't pay fair wages, they don't pay the farmers they buy their products from, and they keep making record profits, then we stand together, we fight like hell, and we'll move on to another company in 2 months. Let's go. If you're new here, my name is Tiffany. We work together to fight private equity, to fight to save small businesses in our community, and today we work together to boycott Let Them Eat Cake.